Straight away cutting across to breaking news coming in. Republic has been able to access text conversations between Rhea and Showik. These are conversations from March 2020 in which both brother-sister are discussing the procurement of drugs. Marijuana has been named once again, and involvement of Samuel Miranda, Showik, Rhea and Dipesh Sawant is what is being indicated, as all of them are a part of these group chats. Rhea and Showik, who amongst themselves are discussing the procurement of banned substances and the requirement that was communicated to Dipesh Sawant. Both Dipesh and Showik were the ones who would keep in touch with the drug dealers. So much so that Shruti Modi has told the CBI that pressure was built on her to participate in these dealings, and she had even registered a complaint of the same with Sushant Singh Rajput. Shavan Sen, our senior associate editor, will be joining us very shortly to break down all those WhatsApp chats for us. But another indication coming in towards Rhea and Showik and the procurement of drugs and their involvement in the same. Shavan is with us on the phone line. Shavan, break down these chats for us. Shavan, if you can hear me, I believe you're now joining us live on the broadcast. Break down these chats for us. What exactly are these chats indicating?
Well, in fact, yet another exclusive news break by Republic Media Network. This time, this is a WhatsApp, text message conversation that is taking place between two characters. One is Rhea Chakraborty herself, and the other happens to be her brother, Showik Chakraborty. This is on 15th of March 2020. The discussion essentially revolves around marijuana dealing. In fact, Rhea Chakraborty goes on to ask as to how many buds are required. Showik essentially replies to those, the requirement and how perhaps they are going to procure. So what is very clear, first we had these 70 WhatsApp conversations that took place between Rhea Chakraborty and her close associates as far as drug procurement is concerned, and that was also to deal with consumption. Then we had yesterday the chats that actually took place between the drug dealers and Showik Chakraborty himself, where Showik Chakraborty admits that he knows some of the drug dealers, for instance, Basit, who's now been arrested, and then also Zayed. These are two drug dealers who are in the custody of the Narcotics Control Bureau. But clearly, he knows many more drug peddlers. Now, just to put this into context of what we know so far, now, there is a private WhatsApp group where you have members like Samuel Miranda, Dipesh Sawant, Rhea Chakraborty and Showik Chakraborty. Now, in those WhatsApp conversations that have taken place in that private group of these following characters, these characters were essentially always, for several months put together, have only been talking about how marijuana are to be procured, from where it has to be procured, in what quantity it has to be procured. Now, all this while, you've seen how Rhea Chakraborty has been maintaining that she has nothing to do whatsoever when it comes to drugs. In fact, she also goes on record to essentially say that she has never consumed drugs. If that is the case, then what are these chats all about? And that is the reason why not just one agency like the Narcotics Control Bureau, but when Rhea Chakraborty was called in for questioning by the Central Bureau of Investigation, there too she was essentially asked about this entire drug link that has emerged. What I can tell our viewers, as far as what Rhea Chakraborty has actually told the Central Bureau of Investigation, here too she goes on to maintain that there is no question of perhaps these drug dealing that was actually taking place. The fact of the matter here is, Suesha, this is no longer just limited to drug consumption, but also drug peddling. We can tell our viewers that in the days to come, perhaps sometime later this week or by early next week, we are given to understand that the Narcotics Control Bureau, in all likelihood, would be calling in Showik Chakraborty for further questioning. But these are the fresh set of chats that have now been accessed by Republic Media Network, which only goes on to raise some very uncomfortable questions for Rhea Chakraborty as well as Showik Chakraborty. Two characters who have been maintaining that they have absolutely nothing to do with any sort of drug consumption.
Shavan, sources have also indicated that Shruti Modi has told the CBI that Showik and Rhea would consume drugs, And she had also complained about this to Sushant Singh Rajput. Is that true?
Well, in fact, sources have also confirmed, and not just that, Shruti Modi's lawyer so far has been maintaining that as far as these drug dealing is concerned, because Shruti Modi's name too also emerges in some WhatsApp conversations. But Shruti Modi has been maintaining that somewhere down the line there was a lot of pressure on her, the pressure to basically participate in this sort of dealing. In fact, she had raised this entire matter with Sushant Singh Rajput. Now, it remains to be seen what exactly was done. But the fact of the matter here is that Shruti Modi has already told the agencies that Rhea Chakraborty as well as Showik Chakraborty would consume banned substances, and these banned substances would be consumed in the presence of other friends who who used to come very regularly. So here, as far as this entire dealing is concerned, there have been several testimonies as far as this drug link is concerned, where time and again questions have essentially been raised, not just about the consumption, but clearly there was some amount of peddling that was essentially done. Because if you simply go by the chats that have taken place between Showik Chakraborty and some of his close friends, his close friends have been constantly asking whether at all he has with himself some amount of banned substances, some drugs, for instance, marijuana and other banned substances. And Showik Chakraborty has essentially responded. And he has responded by saying that he does have in his possession banned substances, and if there is a requirement of more, he could perhaps help his friends to get them from his drug dealers that he was essentially in touch with. So clearly, what is very important to point out here is that the Narcotics Control Bureau as well as the Central Bureau of Investigation are looking at the drug cartel primarily because, remember, there could be a larger drug cartel that was playing a very active role. What sort of an impact did it actually have in Sushant Singh Rajput's life? That is still not known, and that is the reason why the agencies are essentially going to focus on whether at all the drug cartel had a clear link, or rather had an impact on Sushant Singh Rajput's life, and whether at all there is a link between the mysterious death of Sushant Singh Rajput with the presence of these drug cartels, because it is amply clear that there is a cartel which operated. This cartel was actually in touch with Rhea Chakraborty and, for that matter, Showik Chakraborty. These are some serious allegations that have been leveled against Rhea Chakraborty and Showik Chakraborty. It remains to be seen whether at all they would be able to defend the kind of allegations that have been leveled against them, because these are clear evidence that is now coming out against Rhea Chakraborty as well as Showik Chakraborty.